We want a small bit of history of this house because I get permission to have this event every year here, and the man who owns the house is surely the God entitled to have a few words because there's a lot of history about this house. It's comfortable, and we're delighted that we're accepted in here for this occasion.
You're all very welcome here tonight to the Bruhenny house. Many of you have been here before, and many of you will have heard my opening remarks, which are always very similar. And I make the point that it's a privilege to be able to share a house like this with people, and that I don't believe that we really own assets for ourselves or our property. I think that all you have is the use of it for a time, and I have the use of this house for a time, and I like to share it with people. Back in 1997, when I suppose I came back to Churchtown first, I had a vision that I would hear music wafting on the streets of Churchtown, and we developed Boss Murphy's, and we had music wafting from Boss Murphy's. But I also loved the idea that we'd have music wafting from this house which we called the Bruhenny house. And it's called the Bruhenny house because this house was owned by the O'Sullivan family. It was originally built probably in the late 1700s. This part of the house here is new, but inside the other door and the upstairs is the original house. And people are not quite sure how the name Bruhenny was attached to the O'Sullivan name, but of course O'Sullivan was a very popular name, and there was a lot of O'Sullivans in Churchtown. Some people would take a view that these O'Sullivans were part of the O'Sullivan Bear March, and that they stayed in Churchtown after that. That would have been obviously in the early 1800s. And other people say that the word Bruhenny is a French word, or a derivative of a French word, bonnet, and it means a sort of battle cry. But we don't know for sure. But when I grew up, this was an important house. My father always came in here every morning. There was a clock hung out here in the hallway, and most people in Churchtown set their time by the clock here in Bruhenny's. But anyway, it's a privilege to have you all here tonight. We have two special guests, which everyone's special, as far as I can say here. We have two special guests tonight. We have Donnacha O'Dooling, who is joining us. Donnacha is world famous in Ireland, anyway, for sure, that's for sure. Tá fáilte róta Donnacha. Tommy first sauce to go into an show in Bruhenny Lynn, gonna need up into Shea Killaroo. Tahanin to the Clárach radio fáilte star, Gomorlin, Tasula Gun Gomini to Tanav Awesome Trust Show. We always enjoy your program, Donnacha. You hardly ever have a night you don't mention childhood. Hopefully you'll mention Churchtown in the future. Yeah,
she's written down already.
And we're looking forward to hearing your few words. And I also want to thank Michael McGrath from Clárach, who's responsible for bringing Donnacha here tonight. So thank you very much, Michael, wherever Michael is outside somewhere. We are on our second special guest of the Murphy family here, who are connected directly to Seán Clárach MacDomhnaill. And Dennis Hickey here, who is our resident historian, has made the connection between the Murphy family and Seán Clárach, and Dennis will explain it. Maybe you might even stand up there and just say one or two words about it while I'm on it, right?
Thank you. Yeah. It always intrigued me the relationship between Seán Clárach. I have to go around the houses now, but I won't forget that. I said to myself once, there must be still somebody living belonging either to Seán Clárach or to a relative. And I read something by Mannix Joyce, the much lamented man from County Limerick, and he had mentioned that Seán Clárach's sister Mary was married to a Thomas cousin. And I said to myself, I wonder if there are any cousins still living in County Limerick. He said from Bruhenny. So I knew the parish priest, or the priest in Bruhenny, Father McCall, a very good friend of mine, of ours. And I rang him, and he said, yes, there's an Anna Murphy here who goes to Mass every day almost, you know. And I said, gee, I wonder if she's a relative. So I rang her, and she said, my father always told us there was a connection between us and Seán Clárach, And then we discussed it further, and I found that she is a direct descendant. She is Murphy now, but Custon is her maiden name. She is an absolute direct descendant from Seán Clárach's sister Mary. Not only that, but she is still living in the house in which Seán Clárach's sister lived, and which I'm quite sure Seán Clárach, when he was visiting the poetic circles at Bruhenny, rode across on his horse and had a glass of wine or a pot of wine or whatever it was in the house. So I was absolutely thrilled, and we are absolutely thrilled with that jury, and isn't it wonderful to have them here in our midst tonight.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Dennis has written a wonderful paper, again, to celebrate Seán Clárach MacDomhnaill here tonight. I've had the privilege of reading it today as I was heading for church, and I must say I thought some of the things he's going to reveal tonight are quite spectacular, and it's one of Dennis's great pieces of work, I think, all the effort he's made for Seán Clárach. The other person who's very important to all this, doesn't like to get any praise, is Noel Linehan, so I'll be very brief about it, but Noel organised everything. But Noel and Dennis are encapsulated in bronze on the room next door, and we unveiled Dennis's bronze here last year, and we unveiled Noel's some years before. We've been doing this for several years now, our Seán Clárach night. But if anybody wants to see how good the resemblance is, you can see it next door. So I also want to welcome my colleague from England, Owen Kelly, and his girlfriend Trish, and my wife Dorothy out there who's standing outside. Owen is very welcome here. Owen works for a company called Bruhenny Management Services, and Bruhenny is a very old name in Churchtown. It goes back 1,000 years, and Dennis will also be talking about Bruhenny as well. It's Bruhenny is the anglicised version of it, and the Irish name is Brughth, Thuinne, Bruhenny, and it has in the pipe roll of Klein, which was written in 1066, which is the ecclesiastical record of the diocese. It mentions the vicar, Older de Barry, being installed as the vicar of Churchtown, alias Bruhenny, alias Ballon Tonkel, which is extraordinary. I mean, you go back almost 1,000 years to find that you have those three names preserved right since then. So I also want to thank Jenny Fitzgerald here, who's doing our catering for us, and about 8:30 she's going to provide tea and sandwiches, and we're going to have a break. So I might, if I've missed somebody, I'm sorry. I will probably get another chance to say a few words before the night is out anyway. But I'm going to hand you back now to Noel, who's going to take us through the agenda for the evening. Right? So thank you all ever so much.
Thank you, Jack.
Members of Craven Rock of Cortes Dortorium, which was founded just in November 2011. And we've only been going since then. We presently have 90 children learning traditional Irish music, and we have in total about 120 men on organ and guitar, Catherine Horgan on fiddle, Pat McAuliffe on banjo, and Charlie O'Connell on flute. So
them found. I took out my pistols and I shot it with both barrels. With the shouting, let fall the daddy-o, let fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Something like here, the cannonball roll. He is I sleeping, that's the one he's sleeping. Here I am, driven by fear.